I recently imported this adorable K car from Japan. I bought it sight unseen, and unfortunately, it's a little bit broken and really filthy. So today, let's start the process of cleaning it up and fixing it up. Hey Georgia, how's it going? You gonna show your butt to the world? That's a great way to start this video. Anyway, I feel like this is a great car for dogs, lots of space in the back. This is the Mitsubishi Toppo BJ in 1999. Loads of space in there considering that this is an incredibly small vehicle. Georgia's ridden around in it quite a few times, lots of space for her to roll around in the back, get her fur all over the already dirty upholstery. But as you can see, you look around the car, it is incredibly filthy, lots of grime. So if you don't know anything about this vehicle, go ahead and watch my previous video about this car to get the whole lowdown on what the Toppo is and why this thing was called the Toppo BJ. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird name. Anyway, we'll avoid that topic for today. But if you did see my last video with this car, you know that there's some driving issues. I was only able to drive it about 200 feet down my street before I decided to turn it around because it just didn't feel right. If you take a close look at the tires, you'll see that they're all incredibly dry rotted. And yes, it was probably a terrible idea for me to try to drive on those tires. But when I was driving it, it felt like a whole lot more than just a tire issue. I mean, the whole thing just felt broken. So I went ahead and bought a set of tires for this thing. I have not installed them yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that today and see if that solves the issue. And hopefully it does. And hopefully there's not some sort of like underlying suspension issues here. So we'll take a look under the car and see what's going on there. But other than that sort of big thing, it seems like the car is in pretty good mechanical shape. It runs really well. 5-speed manual transmission, shifts nicely, has a decent amount of power. You know, this is a very small car with a very small engine, 659 cc's, and it's actually pretty decently quick. I was pretty surprised when I drove this thing. But we're really not going to be able to experience the full potential of what's under this tiny hood until we get those tires taken care of. But the other major thing that I need to deal with here is that this car is just kind of disgustingly filthy. And I am obviously not a professional car detailer, so I'll do my best to get this cleaned up as good as I can with my limited set of car detailing skills. And you know, honestly, the interior is not so bad other than just kind of needing a vacuum. It's really not too disgusting in here, surprisingly. I did already put a new battery in this thing, and it doesn't really look like it needs much else. One other thing I want to try to do is figure out how to open this glass. It's supposed to lift up so you can put stuff in the back of the car without having to open this rear door. For the life of me, I cannot figure out how to do it. I don't know if you have to have the key in there or something, but I could not get this to open in my last video. So we'll try to figure that out today. Also, you can see this Mitsubishi sticker right back here has seen better days. So I'm going to just go ahead and try to remove this. And this front license plate holder is missing one of these little clips on the side. Looks like this. This one's kind of all rusty. So I'm going to see if I can find a replacement for that so I can put a front plate on this thing. So yeah, that's the plan for my 1999 Mitsubishi Toppo BJ, this adorable K car that I imported without really any information about what the car is, without any information about the condition. So yeah, there's a few surprises here, but thankfully not too bad. All right, let's get started. I think we should start by dealing with these tires. So yeah, as you can see, I really had no business driving on these incredibly dry rotted tires. All right, so let's get the car up in the air and get these pieces of crap out of here. And thanks to the magic of editing, the tires are already removed. Let's take a look underneath here. Yeah, it's pretty grimy, but honestly, it doesn't look too bad. Suspension components look okay. Yeah, the brakes look a bit rusty, but there really was no issue braking with this thing. So I'm hoping the problem is just tires. So now the magic of editing, here is the new set of tires that I just put on this. The ones that this had on it when I bought it was 165/60 R14. Now, I was not able to find that tire in a reputable brand. So after a little bit of research, I did figure out that 165/65/14 fits on this car just fine. It actually looks slightly better than stock in my opinion. But the options that I was finding for this tire in this size, other than those no-name brands, they were pretty expensive. So I found these used Kumho Solus tires on eBay, 2025 date code. So I saved like $300 by buying used, and they're actually in really good shape. Now I know there's some question on whether or not you should go with a used tire for your vehicle, but I think the important things to look at are the date code, make sure that the tire is not too old. Make sure that there's no cuts on the side or any poorly done repairs in the tread. But yeah, there's plenty of people that replace decent tires, so you sometimes can find a really good deal on used rubber. All right, tires are installed. I think the next step is to take this thing for a drive and see how it does. I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers, I'm praying, I'm knocking on all sorts of plastic for good luck, and just wishing that the issue with this car's drivability is simply the tires. Let's find out. Here we go. Ooh, the ride feels so supple and so smooth. so buttery, so luxurious. Okay, it's not luxurious, but yeah, this is riding really nicely. I'm kind of surprised. So all of my concern, all of my worry about the ride of this car, that there was maybe something wrong with suspension, turns out it was just those god-awful tires. And look, a little Scion XB. This is sort of a tinier version of an XB. I had an XB for a very long time. I recently sold it, already regret it, but this is kind of filling that void in my heart with the box on wheels philosophy. So my goal with this car is to not really spend a ton of money on it, because it's not like a perfect example of a Toppo BJ. It's a pretty good example of a Toppo BJ. There's a few imperfections here and there, and I don't really want to try to like make this thing absolutely spotless, absolutely perfect, because ultimately these are not really worth a whole lot of money, unlike that GR Corolla in front of me that just kind of cut me off. So yeah, I want to get this thing running nice, driving nice, looking really clean. But yeah, I'm not going to dump a ton of money into this thing and like do a professional restoration, because it would just not make financial sense for this car. To me, this vehicle is a great vehicle to throw your dog in the back, put a bunch of camping gear in the back, cart your friends around to school, drive around when you're in college, that kind of thing. There's a couple other things in here that I really appreciate, like the amount of storage we've got here in the ceiling, which is kind of insane. I like the fact that we've got auto up and down windows on all 4 doors, which a lot of new cars don't give you today. So one other thing that I love about this thing that might be obvious is just the incredible visibility. Look how gigantic all of these windows are. Very easy to see out of, unlike most new cars sold today. So this thing only has 110,000 kilometers on it, which isn't a whole lot in my opinion. So I'm hoping I'm not gonna have to worry too much about the engine. Feels like everything under the hood is in pretty good shape. It is pretty dirty, but in general, it seems like the mechanicals on this car are fine. So let's take a quick moment and go on the main road here where we can get up to speed and see how this thing truly accelerates when you put your foot down. I'm not expecting a whole lot, but I don't know, could be surprised. A little turbocharged motor under there. Not gonna be like an official 0 to 60 test, but it'll just be, you know, real world scenario. All right, here we go. 7,500 RPM red line. It's actually pretty quick. Okay, 3rd gear doesn't really have a whole lot for us, but yeah, it's not bad. In some ways, I feel like it's faster than my Scion XB. Does that make any sense for half the displacement with a turbocharged motor? Is it actually faster than that? I don't really have a good way to officially test that, but it feels faster, slightly. I'm probably wrong. Maybe it's just because this thing is so tiny, everything feels fast, I don't know. Anyway, that was fun. This little adorable K car's got some pep in its step. All right, so the next thing I want to try to do is find a way to get this glass open, because this pops up without having to open the door. So, you know, if you press this button, this should open. Bruh. Wait, what the heck? It opened that time. The last time I had this car here, I could not get this thing to open, but now it's just opening without any issue. Is that simply because it was locked? Am I an idiot? I think that is very likely the case. Okay, so we locked now. So now it's locked, and of course it's not gonna open when it's locked. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. You know, maybe I'm not completely stupid. It feels like there was a little bit of resistance here. When I was pressing this, it wasn't quite pushing it all the way. But after doing it a few times, it seems to be working every time now. So potentially, this was just a little bit stuck. I'm gonna say that it was an issue with the car and not that I'm just incredibly brain dead. Anyway, check that out. That's a pretty cool feature. All right, so the next thing I want to tackle is taking off this old kind of weathered Mitsubishi sticker right here. Mitsubishi wanted to save a few pennies and went with a sticker here as opposed to an actual like chrome emblem. So I've been told that you can take this off with a heat gun and an old credit card. So I'm gonna see if that works. Let's give it a shot. Got most of the sticker off. It seems like it's mainly just glue residue that's stuck here. So let's let this cool for a second and we'll try some goof off. Okay, it is goof off, not sponsored. It is literally just taking the orange out of my rag and applying it to the car. Didn't expect that. So far, this is currently looking worse than when I started. All right. So one other thing that I just noticed that I want to tackle is this cover for the fog light. It's not quite inserted into the bumper properly. As you can see, it's kind of like hanging off the left a little bit right there. So I'm going to take this out and see if I can seat it properly. Looks like just a couple screws, hopefully. There we go. Just going to reseat this for now and just get this in there properly. There we go, fix that. That was pretty easy. All right, next step, get this thing cleaned up as best I can. Time for a little car wash montage. So one last thing I want to do as sort of a finishing touch is put a license plate right here in the front. Now I'm missing the little clip, as I mentioned earlier, this little rusty thing. Could not really find a good replacement, so I'm going to throw that away. But I want to try to find a way to mount this Mitsubishi plate that I got for the front here. I'm not sure if you're aware, but JDM license plates do not have the same distance between the screw holes as US license plates do. So in order to mount this up here, you can either drill a couple holes in your license plate, or if you have a 3D printer, you can print out something like this. I just printed out this adapter. So what I got to do is basically mount it right here and then use another set of screws and I can mount the license plate on the front. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, since I don't have those little clips, I'll actually need to use a washer and a nut on the back side of this. Let's see if I can do this without dropping the nut. I don't think that's going anywhere. And now let's put on our cool Mitsubishi plate. The only downside is that it sticks out a little bit further, but still looks pretty good, I think. There we go. All right, there you have it, all cleaned up. I fixed a few things, I cleaned a lot of things. It looks a lot better than it did. It's just so adorable. I like how weird it is. I love the crazy wing on the back. And I'll say it again for like the 100th time, it's so practical, so much space in there. Now, I don't know if this will really be a long-term car for me. If you look around at my yard, you'll notice that there's a lot of projects here, way too many for one person to handle because I'm kind of an idiot. But I'm looking forward to driving this around Los Angeles, maybe taking on a couple road trips, maybe doing a couple other dumb things with it, and then at some point pass it on to somebody else that can experience and appreciate this funky little tiny box on wheels. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but I have a bunch of Hello Road t-shirts for sale at helloroad.tv/shop. Now, I've tried to get off my ass and create a few new t-shirt designs, and I'm a little bit behind because some of the new designs that I have are of cars that I already sold. But if you're really into the Geostorm, I now have a Geostorm t-shirt for sale, and another vehicle that I recently sold, my Scion XB. I've got a shirt for that as well. If you want to help support the channel, please feel free to buy one of those. I would really appreciate it. It helps me make more dumb videos like this one. All right, that's gonna be it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're well, and I'll see you soon.